Ecstasy on the Moon, an MDMA, Datura, and Cannabis trip report by Moonflower on Eurowid. It was a Saturday night, and I was off to a party. I am not a stranger to psychoactives, but I am no expert either. I have used cathinone on occasion, amphetamines a few times, MDMA regularly, and cannabis daily. For this party, my friend D and myself each had one MDMA capsule, about 80 milligrams, had a 500 milliliter bottle of tea made from Datura, aka moonflower, which tasted like grape juice and a couple of grams of some good weed. We dropped the MDMA capsule, and within 15 minutes, I can feel slight effects of the onset. I feel the effects of the MDMA a bit now. Things are feeling better, and I have an urge to talk. I also begin playing with my hair a bit because it feels nice. We then go into a room and each drink 250 milliliters of the Datura tea. After this, I feel a bit lightheaded and a little intoxicated from the MDMA. We only drink half because a full bottle is far too high a dose for this experiment. After 1 hour, there is a fight at the party and people are chased out. We go to the car and I am getting tingling sensations everywhere. I feel more empathic and feel the urge to touch more. The MDMA is working, but not to its full potential. Usually from these caps, I am already rolling. I don't know if the Datura has delayed the effects. I can't be sure. I'm very talkative though, and my thoughts are creative and flowing easily. I also feel a bit of anxiety. It's nothing to complain about though. At 2 hours in, I am washed with the feeling of euphoria, which is amazing. I can feel this is only the beginning. I think this is the MDMA doing its work now. I am very talkative and feel close to everyone near me. It doesn't feel like a regular MDMA roll though. It's a bit different. Can't quite compare it to anything I've felt before. I am mellow, yet extremely talkative. My ego is softened, but I don't feel as intoxicated as usual. We got to my friend's place to go smoke weed. I am feeling very euphoric, and it's still building. I feel more intoxicated, and I am talking a lot, and generally being loud and entertaining. Me and D compare how we feel. He says he has never felt so good in his life. I can agree with him. The Datura must be working as well because even when I took 2 MDMA capsules, I've never felt this good. The euphoria is amazing and I think it has plateaued now. I am more chilled now though. Can sort of control myself in what I say. Very thirsty though. Between me and D, we've each had about 1 liter of water and our pupils are massive. Me and D are talking so much and explaining how good we feel to our other friends. They say we're tripping balls, but I tend to disagree. The euphoria is surprisingly still increasing, ever so slightly now, and I feel more mellow now. Colors are becoming brighter as well, and I am still thirsty as hell. We drink more water. T plus 4 hours. My friends are smoking weed, and I decide to see what will happen if I smoke some. I hit the pipe twice, and oh my word. The euphoria is unlike anything I have ever felt. All the effects I was previously feeling seem to be amplified, and I can feel I am becoming slightly delirious and disconnected from reality. I put my head down to rest, and when I look up it feels as though my body has remained behind, resting.
Streams of consciousness sent across the galaxy, to Earth and 100 other worlds. Our entire history seems to be written across the stars. He sees it, laid out before him, within him, the mechanization embedded in humanity. But who are the creators, and who are the created? Lucas can only wonder. Have we met?
My eyes are like cameras, and whatever I focus on provides a clarity while everything else seems to blur. I feel an almost out-of-body experience now. Figures in the room look so much different than ever. I feel as though I'm looking through a new pair of eyes. From 5 to 8 hours into the trip, I lose sense of time and I am delirious. I am wandering around in my mind, amazed at what is in it. I am unable to hold proper conversation, and I am answering questions my mind created out loud. My friends think this is hilarious. I am almost having a full-on conversation with myself. D is not as gone as me, but can relate to me, and we speak beautifully to each other and share a deep connection. Thank God I have a good friend here. I am still able to talk, but occasionally my mind loses track, and I begin wandering around in my mind again. I am having mild hallucinations such as amazing colors and movement of simple objects, and my friends' faces expand and move around like a lava lamp. This is awesome. I am in utter amazement of what I am seeing. For a short period, I feel an out-of-body experience. I look at my arms and wonder whose arms they are. They certainly did not feel like they belonged to me. I smoke more weed throughout this period, and every time, it brings an amazing rush of euphoria and amplifies effects. Eventually, I am too scared to smoke weed because I am afraid I cannot handle this euphoria anymore, and I believed if I smoked more weed, my brain would shut down. I feel my pulse and it is very hard to find. Not a good sign. I also have drunk about 4 liters of water throughout the night. My eyes are like baseballs, and D is beginning to come down a bit. The euphoria is fading. D is also coming down. He is a little more sober than me, not by much though. We both still feel good and a bit intoxicated. We decide we should smoke more weed to try and soften the come down. This time the weed actually does help cushion our coming down, instead of amplifying our effects. We go and chill by the couches, and we slowly and smoothly come down. I do not crave the euphoria, as I experienced 5 to 6 hours of intense euphoria just now. By 9 p.m., I am tired. I lie down and I fall asleep. My dreams are extremely vivid and pleasant, very trippy. I wake up feeling almost perfect. I look at a painting that I saw last night. It looks normal. Last night the grass on the painting was moving, and luminous colors were pulsating from it. Now it's just a faded gray landscape painting. My vision is still blurred, and when I try to concentrate on an object, my eyes jiggle. I go to a mall, things seem clearer and I feel happy, which is surprising. I'm able to appreciate the simple things I see at the mall. I feel extremely lethargic though. After 24 hours, my vision has returned to normal. I am no longer lethargic and everything is back to normal. Overall, this was the best experience I have had using psychoactives. Great visuals, unbelievable euphoria and mood lift, and my first glimpse of an out-of-body experience which was truly amazing. I appreciate all the things I saw and had the most pleasant trip I think anyone could have with Datura. I think the MDMA kept everything positive and happy, and I think we took the perfect amount of Datura so we didn't end up having any negative effects from it. As for the weed, it was like an amplifier during the trip, and brought us down smoothly, no crash at all. I think that sleeping at the time we did also helped us come down nicely. I could not even feel my pulse at one point, and I let my friends know and they watched me. Also watch yourself. If you're able to, try to take notes to get your friends to remember stuff for you, as I did. Overall, this is unlike any experience I have ever had, and was truly the most amazing I have felt in my life.
There were 2 things I liked about this trip report. They were very precise with the amount of substances they used with the dosing, and it was a positive experience and had a positive aftermath. The significance of that is that what if prescription meds are not the end-all be-all of what there is for medicinal use of people's mental health? You know, when it comes to mental healing, you know, prescription drugs are failing on so many levels. We just see people getting prescribed one prescription medication, and then that turns into a higher concentration of that prescription med, then they get a second one and a third one. And there's research being done on psychedelics, but only really with mushrooms mainly, from what I can tell. That's where the most research is being done. I'm sure they're researching other substances, but not as far as having people experiment with them and take them for their mental health. I personally think there can be recipes of psychedelics that can be extremely mentally healing for people, and this is one of them. But you never really know, because I've used mushrooms before and it wasn't really helping me. It was actually just like making my mind enter a more negative state, whereas another person can take mushrooms, and I believe on Vivek's channel there was a trip report where the guy took mushrooms and it cured his autism, or at least the reporter claimed that it cured him of autism. So that to me just shows that there is potential in healing with psychedelics. I don't know if I would have been able to quit marijuana if it wasn't for mushrooms. Because the last time I was addicted to marijuana, the only way I got off of it was by doing mushrooms and then getting off of the mushrooms. And it's so much harder here, like with quitting marijuana, man, because when it's legal everywhere, like you could literally go right down the street and buy it. But another thing I wanted to talk about in this report is, the thing I liked about what they did was how precise they were. He mentioned with the Datura that the Datura was 250 milliliters each for him and his friend. And he mentioned that he did not want to go over that limit of Datura, and that he knew his limits. And just like a prescription medication, people know their limits. I mean, if you've ever been prescribed Zoloft before and you take an extra pill of it, you realize just how much harder that hits you. Same with psychedelics. Like, you have to know your limit. You can never just jump to like twice the dose you're doing, because I did that with mushrooms, and I jumped more than twice the dose, actually. I mean, I went from doing 3 grams of mushrooms to 7.5 grams of mushrooms in one trip, and that trip was so horrifying for me, and it just locked me in the state of despair and panic. When it comes to things like ecstasy, the ecstasy was what kind of put a mask over the Datura, the negative effects that the Datura could potentially have, and turn it into a positive thing for him. And I thought that was really interesting how, this combination seems like it could be legitimately helpful for people at lower doses, because I mean, I'm sure these guys were experienced with substances in the past. So, someone who needs mental healing, their tolerance is not going to be as high as these guys. Like, they're going to have a different tolerance level than these guys. But what if this combination can be applied in smaller doses, very small doses to someone who is struggling with depression or just needs a new perspective on life? It could possibly work. And, I just think, like, even if psychedelics are not decriminalized, like, why not put them in the hands of the medical field? Why not do some serious research with a combination like this when it has a positive experience and a positive aftermath? Yeah, another thing about this trip is that he had a really good friend with him that he knew, and you should only be doing any psychedelics if you're with someone that you can trust. And never take psychedelics from somebody that you don't know. I made that mistake, and there was a time where I was with a group of friends in my apartment, and I had a horrible trip. In fact, the blue tunnel you see at the beginning of some of the videos, I actually went through this blue tunnel on a really bad trip. And basically what happened was, like, I was at the apartment with my roommates and my friend and his friends. And, he says, "Hey, we're going to be doing LSD tonight. Do you want to join us?" I'm like, "All right, why not? I've never done LSD before." So we're just basically hitting the dab rig with weed. and I smoke like at least 10 hits of dabs off the dab rig. And this is shatter. So shatter is a very potent type of THC source. And basically, you know, we're smoking off the dab rig. Then he brings out the LSD and he's like, dude, just take 2 tabs. We're going to watch Tron Legacy and you're just going to have 2 tabs. And like, I didn't know this guy well and I didn't trust him. And you don't know how powerful each of those tabs is. You don't know how powerful an LSD tab is, but I'm just like, all right, I'll take it. And, you know, I took both tabs and I thought I had a hold of myself because I was very well conditioned to weed. But even if you're well conditioned to weed, like 10 dabs is going to get you absolutely blasted off in outer space. So, yeah, we start watching it and I start feeling like things are really weird. Like I'm starting to like get absorbed into things and like I'm seeing like the lights outside the window in the city and they're all just like lit up and like 3-dimensional. Things start looking 3-dimensional. I'm just like freaking the fuck out because I've never experienced this before. And I just started like going into like kind of a despair mode. And I'm like, you guys, I just gotta walk outside. Like, and then my roommate says, okay, well, you know, I'll have one of my friends accompany you. So like we're going down the elevator and like I feel like the elevator, like it's literally wobbling and it's like kind of like having ripples around it. And we go out, we're walking out in the city, and this is actually in Denver, and like we're walking down and like the sidewalk I'm walking on is like rolling, and I go into the Four Seasons Hotel and like I don't know what the fuck is going on. And like I go in there and I knock over like some of the desk clerks, and I go back into the lobby, and then I'm just like, someone just call an ambulance because like I was like freaking out. And then like one of the managers like puts his hands on me and starts praying, and I see like when you see things, you actually are like living them. So like I wasn't just seeing a blue tunnel, like I was like leaving my body and entering this blue tunnel of light as this guy is like praying for me. And then like I'm in the ambulance, you know, on the way to the emergency room. My friend who accompanied me just bailed on me, and I don't blame him. But I'm like, fuck, like this is really bad, man. And I'm just like in the ambulance just freaking out. Like this guy's sitting next to me. He's like, dude, you just gotta calm down. And I'm just like in the ambulance, just like shaking, like holy fucking shit. Like I'm going to the emergency room, like, and I'm absolutely panicking. And, you know, they put me in the emergency room and like they inject like this black fluid into me. I don't know what it was, but yeah, eventually like it subsided and like I returned back to normal in like a couple hours. And then I just go out of the hospital after getting my bill, and I just take an Uber right back to the apartment, and my friends are still watching Tron Legacy. And I'm just like, you guys, I literally just got back from the ER. And, you know, the guy's like, dude, I'm sorry I bailed on you, man. Like, and I'm like, yeah, I get it, dude. But the thing is it was just really an eye-opener for me, like, to not take anything that you're not familiar with. I should have just, like, if I was ever offered LSD, it would have to just be no weed accompanying it, just like maybe like half a tab at first, just to see how it feels, because your brain needs to get acclimated to things. Your brain needs to get acclimated to Zoloft or Risperidol, whatever prescription med you take. It needs to get acclimated to it. So yeah, that's just a little note that I wanted to make on this. And you know, I think they should do some serious research with a combination like this. Why not? Like, it helped these guys out, and, you know, it gave them a positive experience to glean from and something to really take away for it. So, you know, maybe psychedelics are an alternative medicine, but at the same time, I know the damage psychedelics can do. I know that I got into some serious trouble from doing dabs day after day, night after night. And I don't really want to get into like what that turned into, but you know, it turned into something pretty bad. So, you know, the thing about psychedelics is that like everyone pretends they don't freaking know about them, like, but everyone's doing them. You know what I'm saying? Like everyone pretends that, but they're all doing it. But yeah, I just hope you guys gain something from that and just walk away with a little more knowledge from this, and just be mindful of, you know, what your personal tolerance is and how well acclimated you are to anything that is offered to you. And if it's new, don't start with any sort of combinations. So that's all I can really say. Other than that, you know, if you're gonna do cannabis, I would just always recommend just to stick to flower. Any of those diamonds, moon rocks, shatter, wax, even vape pens, just stay the hell away from those, because those gave me psychosis straight up. So if you're ever going to do weed, just do flower. That's all I can recommend, since it's legal everywhere now. Like the diamonds and the moon rocks. I remember like after I did moon rocks, I started actually like seeing hallucinations, and with my psychosis, I was tripping sober. So I was seeing like this pink demon around me, like just hanging on my shoulder. I was like seeing like different like white entities talking to me and visiting me. Like your third eye is opened if you do enough of these. That's why they call it the third eye, because it's something that's actually open and you can start seeing into this other realm while you're just physically wide awake. You know, and I have a whole story about that, and I'm not going to get into it because this is kind of going on too long. But yeah, just be mindful out there.